For decades, we've used games to escape our humble surroundings. We swapped the drab and familiar for fantastical game worlds where we're the focus, where we're the hero.
We've stopped invaders from space, explored Hyrule and stomped on countless Goombas, all from the comfort of our bedrooms and sitting rooms. But in 1997, a series was born which transported us to a much more familiar place. Games that dropped us in the middle of functioning cities, worlds that seemed to exist regardless of our presence. Games that allowed us the freedom to explore as we wanted. We've spent entire days and nights in these cities, beamed away from our tedious existence into worlds of excitement, excess, and vice. Today, GTA is the quintessential blockbuster game, but it's easy to forget its humble beginnings. This story begins with a phone call 16 years ago.
Grand Theft Auto.
1997's Grand Theft Auto put you in the shoes of a common crook, answering phone calls for jobs and slowly making your way up the criminal ladder. The game took place across 3 fictional but familiar cities: Liberty City, aka New York, Vice City, aka Miami, and San Andreas, aka Los Angeles. You'd spend your time completing missions for cash, robbing cars, setting off bombs, and assassinating your client's enemies. Or you could simply go around shooting the crap out of civilians until the army showed up. Though pretty cartoonish by today's standards, the graphics and camera in GTA gave it an odd grounding in reality, while the gritty dialogue, violence, and frequent murder of innocent bystanders made you feel like a bit of an evil badass. GTA was an oddity. It was one of the first games where you seemed to play as an objectively bad person, but considering the success of the series, it seemed we didn't have a problem with it. In fact, many of the hooks of the continuing series were born in this first game: kill frenzies, pay and spray shops, the cop stars, radios in cars, time limits on missions, and insane stunt bonuses. The hookers came later. Rockstar's love of expansion packs actually started with the first game. GTA London 1969 was an expansion pack set in the UK capital, complete with red buses, bollocks traffic, and Cockney rhyming slang. A further level pack for the expansion pack London 1961 was released for free, as long as you bought the first expansion pack, that is.
It was very British indeed.
Spot of tea, darling?
Oh, yes, please. Actually, do you have any hot coffee?
Grand Theft Auto has been synonymous with controversy right from the very first release. The game was condemned by ministers of parliament, and the Daily Mail tabloid called for an outright ban. The uproar in the mainstream press no doubt contributed in some part to making GTA a success. In fact, in recent years it's been said that the infamous UK publicist Max Clifford was employed by somebody to plant numerous sensational stories in the tabloids and to finger politicians gullible enough to bring it up in Westminster. Grand Theft Auto's sequel was a decent departure in both setting and technology, but its direction split the deck for many fans. GTA 2 was top-down like its predecessor, but instead of taking place across 3 cities, the action was divided up into 3 areas of a super city referred to as Anywhere USA. The engine was vastly improved, the graphics were sharper, and the lighting was pretty impressive for the time. You completed each district by reaching a certain point score by completing missions. However, each section of the city had 3 different gangs you could work for. Working for one would damage your reputation with another, but certain rep was required to unlock the best missions. It was a level system that made you pick sides in a turf war, meaning certain areas of the city were too dangerous for you to enter. It was all a bit mental, really. The Russian mafia and the Yakuza were anchored in reality, but the loonies, scientists, rednecks, less so. Personally, GTA 2 gets a pass from me for having jack-off of EastEnders in the intro. You can always make your own mind up. If you've never played them or fancy a hit of nostalgia, both Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2 are available for free at rockstargames.com/classics. During a tumultuous time for the transition from 2D to 3D, Grand Theft Auto knocked it out of the park, layering all the best elements from the original games, the freedom, the authenticity, and transporting it into a city the likes of which we'd never seen before.
Liberty City was a really authentic game world for the time, with dozens of people just walking around in their every day-to-day lives. Also, it had hookers everywhere.
Do you own any other shirts?
No.
You should probably wash that.
It's fair to say Grand Theft Auto 3's impact on gaming was nothing short of revolutionary. Though open worlds had existed before, the level of detail and permanency in Liberty City was far beyond what we were used to. You step back into the shoes of Claude Speed, the silent protagonist from the first game. Like the first game, you took missions from a variety of mobsters and shady individuals. But just going crazy and getting into chases with police was incredibly fun in its own right. The police were tough, but they'd come at you Keystone Cop style, crashing into you with little care for collateral damage, and even following you off the beaten path with reckless abandon. abandon. GTA 3's world was textured by wonderful nods to American culture. The in-car radios would now allow you to swap between stations full of sarcastic commercials, various genres of music, and chat shows rife with satire. The missions also often echoed this ridiculous commentary on modern life, with all the bloody violence from the early games, now in glorious 3D. GTA 3 was a red-letter day for open-world games. It took the rules of non-linearity from PC role-playing games and applied them to a mainstream action game. The player was encouraged to do side missions and wander off the beaten path. But unlike those games, GTA was a multi-genre game. It was a racing game, a shooter, an RPG in parts. We'd never seen anything like it, but once we had, we wanted more.
A year later, the sequel came out. Vice City was set in a faux 80s Miami and spun a tale of excess, drugs, prostitution, and human trafficking. Isn't that right, ladies?
Can we have some blow?
No! No blow for you! Also, it had mopeds.
If Grand Theft Auto 3 was The Godfather and Goodfellas, then Vice City was Scarface and Miami Vice. Though mechanically very similar to GTA 3, it was a different beast. For one, the main character spoke now. Tommy Vercetti was voiced by Ray Liotta, starting Grand Theft Auto's brief flirtation with using celebrity voice actors for the main characters. Rockstar flexed their storytelling muscles a lot with Vice City, and they've never looked back. There were some additions to general gameplay mechanics too. You could buy businesses with your earnings, drive boats, motorbikes and choppers. Random gang wars would happen from time to time in the late game, something we'd see a lot more of in the next game. But undoubtedly the cherry in Vice City's cake was the 80s soundtrack. More hilarious commercials, stomping glam rock and power ballads you couldn't help but sing along to. Sometimes you just have to drive around the mission marker for a while until Toto's Africa finished. Vice City was a massive commercial and critical success, and still today is thought by many to be the best game in the series. However, before that console generation wrapped up, Rockstar had one more city to visit.
2004 San Andreas was set on the west coast of America. The coke and rampant excess replaced by crack and gangbanging.
Rockstar continued their love of mirroring popular film by basically recreating Boys in the Hood. As such, San Andreas was one of the first games with an African-American protagonist, Carl Johnson, aka CJ. The story concerned itself with issues of race, class, narcotics, wealth, and police brutality. San Andreas introduced its own set of significant mechanical innovations to the franchise, but many of which were never seen again. There was car modifications, street races, gang wars, burglary, bunches of mini-games including basketball, pool, and dancing. You could learn boxing, kung fu, and Muay Thai. There were also RPG elements introduced to allow you to passively and actively personalize CJ. You could go to the gym and build muscle.
Or you could get CJ to eat a clucking bell every day and get him super fat. Delicious. It's my pimp glass.
On top of keeping CJ fed, you had to ensure he had the respect of his fellow gang members to recruit others to your cause. This could be done by your actions or simply wearing the Grove Street green, and this also affected your chances of dating various women in the state. Unlike Vice City and GTA 3, San Andreas was set across a state, incorporating 3 different cities: Los Santos based on Los Angeles, San Fierro based on San Francisco, and Las Venturas based on Las Vegas. But despite all the gangbanging and prostitution, much of the controversy surrounding GTA 3 was the discovery of an unused sex minigame buried in the game's code, colloquially known as hot coffee because you could invite the young lady in for hot coffee. US lawyer Jack Thompson spent years trying to rile up Middle America against the franchise, and Rockstar had to issue a temporary recall of the game while they created new copies. But in the end, all it did was provide Rockstar with further media coverage, and Thompson lost his license in the process for being a crazy lunatic. San Andreas was yet another hit for Rockstar, and that first 3D trilogy comprises of 3 of the top 5 selling games on PlayStation 2 globally, an incredible achievement for any franchise.
Grand Theft Auto went mobile after that. GTA Advance came out in 2004, Liberty City Stories and Vice City Stories came out on the PSP and were eventually ported to the PlayStation 2, and the fantastic Chinatown Wars came out on iOS, DS and PSP.
What is this?
It's a PSP.
It's a load of
But after 4 long years away from the living room, it was time for a new GTA, for a new generation. 2008's Grand Theft Auto 4 returned to Liberty City, putting you in the shoes of Niko Bellic, an illegal immigrant from Eastern Europe with his eyes on the American dream. Just like GTA 3 had done 7 years earlier, Grand Theft Auto 4 set a new bar for open world games. HD visuals, the Euphoria engine, and vastly denser environments combined to create a world which is so believable you actually felt a tiny little bit of remorse when you murdered the hell out of somebody with your car's bumper. The police response system was overhauled too, meaning you had to evade cops by keeping out of their circle of influence. Much like in the old games, you were a murderous lunatic who kills easily hundreds of people over the course of the game, but a much more sincere storyline created a dichotomy between the narrative and the action. It was kind of hard to feel for Nico's struggle to find a healthy life when he was spending his afternoons terrorizing the city's citizens. GTA 4 was stuffed full of random activities off the beaten path. You could go to a web cafe or a comedy club. You could visit famous landmarks or get pissed off your face. Much like in modern life, Nico's phone was his lifeline. Through it you could set up your options, call cabs, transport back to missions, or call up your cousin to go bowling. Or if none of that seemed interesting, you could always call up the Irish girl to go on a date. Yeah, because that's always a laugh.
Danny, will you buy me chips?
Though the fantastic multi-theft auto mod had added unofficial multiplayer to previous PC releases, GTA 4 was the first game since GTA 2 to have official multiplayer, and it was absolutely brilliant. There was traditional modes like Deathmatch, bunches of cool co-op modes like Cops and Crooks and Carjack City, but arguably the most fun was had in free mode, where you could cause horrific collateral damage to Liberty City with a bunch of friends or strangers. 2 expansion packs were released for GTA 4, the biker-focused Lost and Damned and the nightclub drama The Ballad of Gay Tony. Both told interesting short stories with brand new protagonists, almost as if Rockstar were flexing their muscles for a new type of storytelling. We'd have to wait 3 years to see what they were up to. So here we are, mere hours away from the launch of GTA 5. The new game puts you in the shoes of 3 protagonists in a modern-day version of the city of Los Santos from San Andreas. No matter what 5 has in store, the Grand Theft Auto series has earned its place in the Video Game Hall of Fame. It's a series which has transported us to different cities and eras, a melting pot of culture, film and music that sticks its middle finger up at an aging society that doesn't understand gaming.
Grand Theft Auto is one of the most innovative games in history, and once again next week a bunch of us are going to take time off work or call in sick to jump into another world for entire days and nights. So go away. I've got lots of morally ambiguous stuff I want to do, and I'd rather not catch any more of it on camera. You should too. I'll see you in Los Santos.
Danny, will you buy me chips? Let's see if we can do so many takes that you drink the entire... you drink all 4 cans.
I really wish I wasn't drinking.
It's disgusting.
Not this morning.